Hello Cancer, and welcome to your November video insights. This month we're going to do things slightly differently. Instead of me talking you through the cycles and rhythms of the lunar cycle from new moon to new moon, like I have been doing previously, this month we're going to focus on the three main shifts that are happening, because they will be impacting you over the coming 13-month and 18-month cycle. And it's a particularly powerful time for you, Cancer, as the North Node shifts into your sign for the first time since 2001. So there's lots to talk about, there's lots to think about as these major heavenly bodies move signs. We are collectively moving into a new way of being throughout November, as Jupiter goes home to the temple of Sagittarius. Uranus goes back into Aries. We have a Mercury retrograde. He stations on the same day that Venus stations direct. So there's a huge amount of transition. There's some forward movement. There's some holding back in different areas. So we're going to have a little look at how that will impact you personally over the coming months and year. So first of all, let's talk about Jupiter, the king of the gods, coming back to his home sign, coming back to Sagittarius. And this is an exciting shift for many, because we have been collectively since October last year really diving into the deep waters, really looking at all of our shadows, all of our hidden wounds, all of our traumas, letting a lot of stuff go as, he moves through the sign of the alchemist. And for you, Cancer, Jupiter has been transiting your fifth house. And this is the house of creativity. This is the house of Leo, the house of individual, unique self-expression. So he's been calling you to let go of everything that stops you really standing in your creative power and saying to the world, here I am. This is what I do. He will have also been uncovering maybe some deep psychological fears and beliefs around self-love, around romance, around your self-worth and your ability to shine. So it's been an intense time, and as he moves into Sagittarius, he shifts into your sixth house, which is also where Mercury will be retrograde throughout November and early December. So this is a period, a 13-month cycle really, of you working with these sixth house energies. So the sixth house is the house that is associated with Virgo. It's associated with purity, with purification, with clearing out the old in order to become a vessel for the wisdom of spirit to manifest through, which is very appropriate for Sagittarius with its connection to the divine, its connection to higher wisdom. So you may find yourself having to sift through old behaviors, old habits, old patterns, old addictions, and clearing away anything that stops you from becoming that vessel of the divine. It will expand all of the areas in your life where you need to create more structure, more organization, so that you can fully manifest your purpose over the coming 13 months, Cancer. So with Jupiter here, we can also be looking at where our luck, our opportunities, our beneficial where the benefits are flowing in our life. And the sixth house is also associated with work and with healing. There's a lot of holistic healers that have a lot of sixth house energy, because it is devoted to bringing the spiritual into the physical. It is devoted to service. So you may find that your service work starts to accelerate and expand, particularly those of you who are already working spiritually. I know a lot of people that listen to these videos are well on their spiritual pathway, and they're healers and they're teachers and they're writers and astrologers. So this can really be an expansion of your opportunities to share that with the world. On a more mundane level, You know, if you are looking to change your job, looking to change your career, then this can be a time when things can flow a lot more easily, and kind of synchronicities and opportunities can flow to you in those ways. So we're really looking over the next 13 months at these themes of expansion in the areas of healing, health, well-being, purification, day-to-day work, service work. So it's a beautiful time for you to take all of those lessons you learned in the 5th house around self-love, around, you know, owning your own gifts and identity, and now you can begin to share them with the world, Cancer. So this is an exciting shift, and it's very interesting that Jupiter will actually move into Sagittarius on the 8th of November, but we are going to have Mercury retrograding there on the 16th. Through to the 2nd of December, and he will leave his shadow on the 21st of December, the winter solstice. So it's almost like Mercury comes into this area, the 6th house that I've talked about, and he tests us, you know, he makes us see what old belief patterns, what things need to change and shift before we can fully manifest the light of Jupiter, of Sagittarius, through this space in our birth chart. So you may find this need for purification really intensifies in the build up to the festive season. You know, you may find that there are changes happening in these areas of your life which will force you into greater expansion and greater truth in the long term. So don't be disheartened if things start to be a little bit more difficult before they get better. It's just the adjustment period, and Mercury has decided that he would like to test us in this area before he lets us manifest the greatness of Jupiter. So that's the first and, you know, most exciting shift that's happening. And for yourself, Cancer, we also have the North Node moving into your sign, and this will happen on the 6th of November. So as I mentioned, the North Node hasn't been in Cancer since 2001, the last years he was transiting this space. So you can look back to that time and see what was manifesting for you, see what the themes were in your life around that time. And if you want to look at Jupiter as well, the last time he was in Sagittarius in your 6th house was 2006. So you can also revisit what was going on there and see, you know, the general gist of how things might start to change during this cycle. So it's very interesting when the North Node transits our sign, because the North Node is the point of personal and collective evolution. In the birth chart, it is the soul's pathway of evolution that it wanted to walk in this lifetime. And when we work with the North Node collectively, we can see the direction that humanity is moving towards. And the node has been in Leo. The North Node has been in Leo, and the South Node has been in Aquarius since May 2017. And, you know, they've been giving us some deep lessons, you know, particularly over the summer with the mega eclipses and the Mars retrograde, around coming into our creative expression of self and using our gifts to serve the whole. And for you, Cancer, the nodes have been transiting the 2nd and 8th houses of your birth chart, which are all about finances, intimacy, resources, self-worth, self-value. And of course the 8th house, where you had that huge Aquarius eclipse and the Mars retrograde, really calling you deep into your shadows, asking you to, you know, do the deep dive in a similar way to Jupiter and Scorpio, letting go of all of that old stuff and coming into creating a solid, secure foundation for yourself. Coming into deeper levels of self-love has really been your karmic lesson for the past 18 months with the Leo node in your 2nd house. So as they shift into your sign, and over the next 18 months the eclipses happen in your sign and your opposite sign, your 7th house, Capricorn, you start to feel that evolutionary pull. You know, you start to feel that need to really let go of the old, to really follow your pathway of highest destiny. And collectively, you know, we will all be stepping into your energy and embracing your gifts, Cancer. You who are such a sensitive, tender, caring sign. So you may feel that energy amplifying within you, feeling your sensitivity amplifying, feeling your nurturing abilities and your need to give and receive love amplifying during this period. When the nodes are transiting the first and second, seventh houses, so the south node is always in the opposite sign. So the south node, the point of release, is going to join Pluto and Saturn in your seventh house. So we know, you know, we've discussed in previous videos how you're learning a lot of karmic lessons through your relationships at this time, Cancer. So as the node moves into here and the north node of the evolutionary pull comes into your first house of self, this is a time of you learning how to balance your needs with the needs of other people. Learning how to eliminate the toxic relationships, the relationships that aren't working on a romantic, business, friendship or familiar level from your life, and coming into learning how to express your authenticity. The first house is the Aries house. It's all about who am I? You know, what are my needs? What are my desires? And because you're such a giving person, because you like to protect and nurture everybody, Cancer, sometimes you neglect your own need or don't acknowledge your own need for nurturing. So this can be a time where you have to learn to extend that softness and gentleness to yourself. Or perhaps, you know, you have to draw some boundaries with loved ones so that you can move forward and manifest with Jupiter in the sixth house, you know, calling you towards building your foundations, calling you towards your service work. So it's an interesting balance of energies, and there will be lots of change and transition as we move through the eclipse cycles. I think the first one's going to be in January next year, and then in June next year there will be another eclipse season, and they will be falling on this axis for you. So there's lots more relationship growth for you to do. There's lots more learning there for you, Cancer. But ultimately it's time for you to decide the direction of your life. So interestingly, also on the 6th of November, we have Uranus, the storm god, coming back into your 10th house. He's been in that space of your birth chart from about 2011 up until May this year. We know that he went into Taurus, he went into the 11th house. We talked about that in May. And now he's retrograding back. It's almost like he goes back into Aries, you know, he backtracks. Oh, I forgot something. I forgot that I needed to liberate you a little. You know, there's some things that you needed to let go of in that area of your life. There's some places you're still not free, that you need to develop a stronger sense of self-identity in. And for you, this is the 10th house, Cancer. This is your house of work and career. So if there is some stagnancy there, you know, if you didn't make the changes that you needed to make the first time around, the last time he was on these degrees, earlier in spring this year, and of course, you know, they were highly activated by Mars as well during the eclipse season. If there are some changes that you haven't made in that area of your life, if there are some ways that you're still not authentically expressing yourself in your career, in your purpose, you know, in the way that you present yourself to the world, the 10th house can be very much to do with our reputation and our public persona and how we are perceived. So this is perhaps about freeing yourself from other people's opinions and other people's projections of how you should be as well, Cancer. So he's going to be there again, you know, cleaning up those last few degrees of Aries until March time, springtime next year, 2019. Of course, those of you who have planets in the final degrees of Cancer, you will be receiving another square from Uranus. So check 28, 29 degrees. If you have any planets at the end of the cardinal signs, they're going to get another lightning bolt from the storm god. So I'm going to finish this reading by picking a Sacred Rebels Oracle card for you. These are by Alana Fairchild, and you know, I've chosen these because Uranus, of course, is the ultimate rebel. And also they're very good for giving clues around, you know, life's purpose and evolutionary focus. So we're going to pick a card for you, Cancer. And this is really interesting. Restore and replenish. So that immediately makes me think of your sign. She's got lots of seashells around her as well. I don't know whether you can see in the picture. So this card is about obviously having a rest, having a break, withdrawing, stepping back, which you might be feeling like doing during this Scorpio dark moon. Of course, you know, this is the time where we go within, we turn within. It's the winter months here for those of us in the northern hemisphere. So it is that message to take care of yourself before you take care of others. But this card can also mean that it might not necessarily be that we need to take a physical rest. We might not need to, you know, spend a few days in bed or on the sofa watching Netflix, indulging ourselves in that way. It can also mean that we need a break from the stagnant routines in our life. We need a change, you know. We need to do things that we're passionate about to help us build our energy back up. You know, quite often we think, oh, I'm so tired, I'm going to rest, I'm going to take a break. But really, it's sometimes it's the mundaneness of life and the routine of life that drains us. So we can snap ourselves out of it by doing Jupiter in Sagittarius, by expanding our horizons, by doing something different, by traveling somewhere new, speaking to new people, gaining new perspectives on our problems. So perhaps there's a need for you to break free of stagnation, because you are a sign, Cancer, that likes to cling to what is familiar. So look at the ways in your life where you can maybe think outside the box or experiment with something new and exciting and see how your energy levels raise. So thank you so much for listening to me. If you would like to connect with me further, there are the links for my Facebook page and group beneath this video. I'm sending you so much love for an exciting and transformative November.